In just the first 90 seconds, something happens, something that makes the global entertainment industry hold its breath. Jungkook stood in the middle of the stage with the song Standing Next to You, and the world seemed to stop spinning. No CGI effects, no camera tricks, just raw charisma bursting from one body, dancing and singing. But who would have thought that, behind that moment, there was something that even HYBE, the giant agency that houses it, felt scared. Not because Jungkook did anything wrong, but because his strength was already beyond anything they had ever predicted. In those 90 seconds, Jungkook proves that the stage no longer belongs to the label, but rather belongs to an energy that no one can control except himself. Once the intro beat of Standing Next to You began, Jungkook wasn't just performing, he was commanding. Her movements are precise, her voice is stable despite the heavy choreography, and her expression permeates the screen until even the rearmost audience can feel the same vibe. The public reaction came instantly. The 90-second clip spread like a virus across platforms, TikTok, X, YouTube, and even mainstream news. Western media commenters wrote the same thing. "You don't need to know K-pop to feel this." That sentence describes exactly Jungkook's strength. She is no longer just a Korean idol. She has become the universal language of authentic performance. But inside HYBE's office, rumors circulated. Some executives began to discuss how dangerous the attraction was. Jungkook is too powerful for any corporate narrative to control. After 7 and 3D, now his live performances prove that no PR or marketing can match the authenticity of his stage. Many forget, Standing Next to You is not a song produced to go viral instantly. But in Jungkook's hands, the song became a kind of visual and sonic ritual. His movements are like a hybrid between Michael Jackson and himself, not plagiarizing, but interpreting. And the most interesting thing, every spectator in the venue knew they were watching history, not just a concert. The camera that recorded it also seemed unable to compensate for the aura in front of it. The audience did not scream ordinary. They fell silent in certain seconds, stunned. When the music stops, there is a long pause of silence before shouts break the air. That's when a lot of people say, "I can't believe what I just saw." But why is HYBE afraid? Because it's no longer about an artist under a label. It's about phenomena that cannot be engineered. When a star reaches the point where its own existence becomes a brand, the company begins to lose control over the narrative. HYBE knows that they can no longer write Jungkook's story as they wish. Now, it's the public that writes it. And in the world of the entertainment industry, that means one thing. Power changes hands. The facts behind the scene also corroborate that narrative. Many of the production staff told me that Jungkook rearranged some parts of the stage himself. He asked for darker lighting at the beginning, so that his body appeared like a silhouette when the first beat hit. He wanted the first move to feel like an explosion, not an opening. Such a small detail may seem simple, but in the world of performance, it signifies one thing: a true performer who understands the cinematics of the stage. Even some lighting technicians say, he knows when the lights have to come on for the camera to capture the most powerful moment. Imagine an artist who is still in his 20s, but already thinks like a world-class concert director. Meanwhile, industry analysts in the US and Europe began writing opinions. Jungkook has outgrown the concept of a K-pop idol. The point is clear, he has crossed the line of the system that raised him. When he sings the lyrics, "Standing next to you, I'm standing next to you," it's as if there's a hidden message there, that he's no longer standing beneath anyone. He stands on a par with anyone who has ever ruled the global stage. And ironically, the message was conveyed not through an interview or statement, but through a performance that only lasted 90 seconds. While fans see it as the pinnacle of pride, industry insiders see it as an omen. After the concert, it was reported that several parties from international labels began to make new offers. World tour contracts, cross-genre collaborations, and even musical film projects. All because only one clip is 1.5 minutes long. This is proof of how times have changed. Now, what determines the direction of a career is no longer a strategy, but a completely honest moment. And Jungkook is the definition of that artistic honesty. However, like all great stories, there is a tension behind it. HYBE, according to some Korean media reports, began to refrain from giving statements. They let the moment breathe on its own. But behind the scenes, internal sources mentioned discussions on how to maintain a balance between BTS's individual image and the group's overall image. Because if Jungkook continues to shoot like this, the shadow of BTS that they once built can begin to shift into the Jungkook era. This is not just speculation. Some K-media analysts even wrote that the 90-second performance was a turning point that marked the transition from K-pop to the global solo era. But on the other hand, that's precisely the beauty of this trip. Be that as it may, all that fear is actually a sign of inevitable change. The world was ready to see Asian artists not as products, but as pioneers. And Jungkook, with all his hard work and courage, showed the way. He not only conquered the stage, he conquered the boundary between entertainers and legends. In those 90 seconds, Jungkook wasn't trying to prove anything. He just did what he always did, give his all. But precisely because of that, the world was shocked. Because in an era where everyone is trying to look great, Jungkook just exists. And its mere existence is enough to change the way we see performance, music, even the meaning of fame. As the song ended, the camera panned to her still breathing face. He stared at the audience, smiling slightly, as if he knew that something had just changed. There were no words, no speeches, but everyone felt it. The world had just witnessed an unrepeatable force, and perhaps that's what scares most of all those who are trying to control it. Because how can you manage someone who even time can't help? In 90 seconds, Jungkook proves one thing. Sometimes a legend isn't created from a massive promotion, but from a single moment in which someone truly becomes who they are. And for the global entertainment world, that moment was enough to make history change forever. Once the performance went viral, the effect was like a chain earthquake shaking the entire entertainment ecosystem. Labels in America started talking about the same thing in their boardrooms. How can one artist create global momentum in just 90 seconds? The answer is simple but scary for many, because Jungkook is no longer just an industrial product but a social phenomenon. It has crossed the boundaries of branding that are usually controlled by major labels. And when one has already reached that level, the industry no longer has a map to navigate it. In New York, a few days after the performance, a fashion media wrote an article with a striking headline, "The 90-Second Revolution: How Jungkook Redefined Stage Power." They wrote that Jungkook's energy influences not only music, but also fashion, lifestyle, and even the way people perceive authenticity in the modern entertainment world. Calvin Klein, which had previously benefited greatly from its influence, is back in trend without issuing any new campaigns. All because the cut of the video was reused in thousands of fan edits with artistic overtones, making Jungkook like a symbol of a new movement, an icon not created by the agency, but by the public. And this is what makes many analysts say, Jungkook is no longer a K-pop icon. He is a living algorithm. That is, his every movement provoked a global reaction. His every facial expression created a new trend. His every look provoked a change in strategy in many companies. Even TikTok recorded a spike in millions of videos with the hashtag number standing next to you challenge in just 3 days. But if you look deeper, it's not just the dance challenge that went viral. What drives people crazy is the energy. Jungkook's energy is so raw, sincere, but dangerous in an industrial context because it can't be engineered or predicted. HYBE, according to reports from some Korean media, immediately held an emergency meeting, not to scold anyone, but to talk about how to maintain stability after that performance. There were fears that the public's attention on Jungkook would be too great, to the point of overshadowing their big plans for the next phase of BTS. Some unnamed employees even referred to the performance as the point where Jungkook became too big for the system. That is, he has already broken through the boundary wall that usually limits artists under the label. He is no longer just the face of the company, but the face of a new generation who refuse to be controlled, but remain disciplined and professional. Ironically, HYBE knew that they could not contain the phenomenon without visibly restricting freedom. Therefore, their only option is to go with the flow that Jungkook himself created. On the other hand, overseas producers and creative directors began to study the performance footage like case studies. Some even claimed to learn Jungkook's body control in the video, to model the stage concept for other artists. The fact that a person could control rhythm, timing, and expression in just 90 seconds stunned many professionals. They are aware this is not an ordinary rehearsal. It is the result of many years of extreme discipline and a deep understanding of stage art. He does not dance to be remembered, writes a music journalist. He dances to hypnotize. But what makes this story even more interesting is how Jungkook himself reacted to all of that. That is, didn't react at all. In the midst of the media frenzy and speculation, he instead posted a short update on the official platform, writing light things like, "Thank you for watching. I'm having fun." The seemingly simple sentence actually confirms the distance between the perception of the world and reality. The world perceives it as a major event, while he sees it only as a simple moment of happiness on stage. And that's where the secret is. That calm is the highest form of control. While many artists try to capitalize on virality, Jungkook lets it work on its own, without promotion, without clarification, without additional strategies. He understands that authenticity is the rarest fuel in entertainment, and he doesn't want to litter it with calculations. As the 90-second clip broke 100 million views across platforms, another question arose in the media. Has Jungkook just opened a new chapter in the global show business? Many began to compare him with such legendary artists as Michael Jackson, Prince, and even Beyoncé, in terms of the ability to manipulate the atmosphere of space with body and voice. But what sets him apart? Jungkook came from a very structured system, and now he's starting to change that system from within. He proved that the idol does not have to submit to the format of the industry, but can be a pioneer who reshaped the format itself. Among the admiration, there was also anxiety from among competitors. Several solo artists from the younger generation admitted that they felt challenged after seeing the performance. Not a few began to imitate the lighting style, hand movements, to Jungkook's typical pose during the beat drop. But in the entertainment world, imitation is never the same as influence. Because what makes Jungkook different is not just what he does, but how he does it. There's a philosophy behind each of his moves, a blend of technical perfection and emotional honesty. He can look fierce in 1 second, then stare at the camera with a warmth that makes the audience feel as if they are being spoken to personally. And that's what analysts call the Jungkook effect, a psychological phenomenon in which viewers feel an immediate connection, even if it's just through the screen. In the modern music world, which is often filled with filters, auto-tune, and overproduction, Jungkook offers the opposite of all that. It brings originality back into the limelight. And, ironically, it is precisely because of this that it has become the most futuristic. While many artists strive to appear digitally perfect, Jungkook appears human real. It sweats, it breathes, it lives on stage, and the world thirsts for it. Even American music critics, who are usually skeptical of K-pop artists, wrote a rare review. That performance was not about Korea, it was about human magnetism. That is, the magnetism that he radiates is not due to culture or image, but to universal honesty. However, behind all that admiration, one big question arises that even HYBE executives must rethink. If Jungkook can make the world go awry with just 90 seconds, what will happen when he actually takes full control of his own career? It wasn't a small fear, it was an existential fear for the entire industry. Because if one artist can stand outside the system and still win over the public, then the entire modern entertainment business model needs to be redefined. But perhaps precisely therein lies the magic of Jungkook. It's not trying to destroy the system, it's just living in it in a way that's too big to be locked up in. It's not fighting, it's growing. And that growth, sooner or later, will change the way the world sees what a true star is. Because at the end of the day, when all the stage lights go out and all the viral clips stop scrolling, only one thing remains: the charm of a young man standing on stage, giving everything in 90 seconds, and reminding the world that miracles are still possible.